How many of you have had both these experiences? I'm curious, by a show of hands. Have you had the experience where things got so bad your brain was no more and you just stepped up and finally handled it? Who's had that happen? Say aye. And how many of you have also had where you did better than you expected and then you kind of sabotaged it or didn't stay as focused, lost your drive, or you're really great in a relationship and then you said something and messed it up? Like, why did I do that? Who's done this before? Raise your hand and say aye. So the thermostat is your identity. And I'm here today to share with you that you can change that definition. And until you do, you will not see lasting change, right? You're not. Think about it. First time you smoked a cigarette, what was your response? Yumbo? Hell no, you coughed. Your brain was, what the hell are you doing? And then some other part of your brain that saw the commercials goes, shut up, brain, the sex will be worth it, right? You were trained. Right? I mean, like James Dean, some of you can remember back in the 50s, I remember my parents, they thought this guy was the hottest guy, just smoking his cigarette and owning himself. But when they smoked a cigarette, it didn't taste like shit, but they was like, no, I want that identity. So today, people have identity by smoking, they do it by tattoos, they do it by how many earrings they have, they do it by wearing a baseball cap, I don't know, they do it by so many different ways, right? We all have different identities. Now, a certain watch that they have and so forth, and it's external, but it's all a reflection of how you perceive yourself to be. And there's no right or wrong here. But if you're not getting the results you want in your relationship or in your body, it's because you have an identity that's in the way. Which is, by the way, here's the cool thing. It's just a belief. And a belief is nothing but something you've told yourself over and over and over again with enough certainty, and now you believe it. But even though you're wired to think a certain way, you can rewire yourself to think and be a different way. And there's no way in hell I'd have the privilege to be with you right now if I hadn't continually upped my identity. It's not like a one-time thing. It's like I find myself not doing something. Why am I doing? Well, that's just not me. Have you ever said that? I'm not one of those people. But when you say that, you got to ask yourself, when did I define myself? How long ago? And have I learned things since then? Have I experienced life differently? Do I know more now? Maybe it's time to redefine who I am so that my behavior will naturally come in a normal way. So I want you to understand identity from two pieces. One, most importantly, how it affects you. It shapes your whole life. So if I asked you, who are you? People go, oh, what do you mean? They get uncomfortable. I say, don't even think, just tell me who you are. Who else are you? Who are you? And people write all kinds of things. But you'll see certain things they've really identified with most, and those things really control their life. So if you want to change your life, change your story. Your story begins with who you believe you are, right? And then, therefore, how I'm going to live my life. In fact, I'm sure you've heard of people turning 40 or 50 or whatever it is and having what they call an identity crisis. What's an identity crisis? If you don't know really who you are anymore, if you're questioning who you are, if you don't know who you are, you don't know what to do. So that's why people create so many labels. And labels can enhance your life sometimes, and other times they can shrink your life or lock you in a box and make you stuck.
The reason that you're struggling with the next question is because you're always worried about what your parents think. And that really stayed in my head. I was just like, wow, so as long as I'm trapped by what my parents think, I can actually never find the answers to the real questions of life.
Literally, the first time I wrote this whole article, it was my first blog article, and it was all about how if I were hit by a drunk driver, I would take ownership of that. I would say that is my fault. And people were pissed. And I was so shocked. I literally thought, I want to pull people from the matrix. What's the one gift that I could give people that will change their life forever? And I wrote this whole thing, and I was like talking about like, oh man, you're in this spot and it ends up being a kill box and there's cars on either side of you and a car in front of you and your horn dies and you can't even start your car and move. You look in the rearview mirror and this drunk driver's plowing down, they smash into you and it's all your fault. And thank God, because now you remember that you're in control. But people thought I was victim shaming. People were outraged that I would say that that was anyone's fault but the drunk driver. But I don't want to do that because I choose not to ever be a victim. I cannot choose whether I'm victimized, but I have the ability to say I will never be a victim because there's always something you can do differently. there is always something you can do differently. And once you understand that you can always make a different choice and get a different reaction, and that's the power in your life, that's the power that you have, is no matter what's going on, you can choose to think differently, believe differently, see differently. All of those things are a choice. Read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Lost his whole family to the Holocaust, was in, I think, 5 different concentration camps. And he said the thing that people die of in a concentration camp is the loss of a why. And Nietzsche said if you have a why, you can survive almost any how. Because you can always change how you think about something. And when you change how you think about it, it's what we've been talking about all day. When you change how you think about it, you actually change the event.
Life is difficult, and you cannot protect your children. What you can do is prepare them, and you can prepare them to be strong and courageous and truthful and resilient and reciprocal in their interactions with other people. And that means you equip them for what life will be, which is at minimum a series of difficult challenges, and often more than that, because of course people go through very difficult times in their lives. And a resilient person is capable of standing up to things in the face of fear and moving forward voluntarily, convinced of their own competence and ability to prevail. And so your primary goal as a parent, apart from facilitating your child's social desirability, which is a major obligation on your part, is to encourage your children and I mean that literally, to instill in them a sense of courage in the face of the difficulties of life, and not to protect them from that. We don't even want to be protected from those difficulties, because a major part of life and its meaning is the challenge that comes with confronting difficulties.
Brain tattoo I love sharing with my audiences is this one. A job is only just a job if you see it as a job. And so, why would you lose the opportunity to leverage what you do every day to grow your happiness, to grow your energy, to allow you to release more of your talents into the world, to allow you to help more people? Why would you miss that opportunity by falling into the trap of thinking, this is just my job. I'm just getting up in the morning, working 9 to 5, going down to the coal mine every day. And you could say, well, Robbin, this doesn't apply to me. You know, I just have a ordinary job. Well, I've got to tell you, I've met taxi drivers who feel their work is incredibly meaningful. I mean, I was at LaGuardia, and I remember, being in a taxi cab, and the man had this white shirt, and his cab was perfection. And I said, your attitude is great, your passion is awesome, your cab is perfect, you've got this fresh newspaper for me to read. What is your psychology that allows you to do this? And he said, Robbin, this is not a dirty job. It's an important job. I get to make a difference. I remember being in Johannesburg, meeting the janitor in the Johannesburg men's room, or WC, who worked like he was the Elon Musk of what he did. He worked like Pavarotti sang. And so my point is simply this: it's really your choice as to how you will view the work you do every day. And even in the most quote-unquote ordinary of work, you can find gold. And if you connect with the gold, you connect with the meaning. And if you connect with the meaning, you connect with your talents. And if you connect with your talents, you connect with the best within you. And if you connect with the best within you, you go to work every day and you are this shining star of world class, and you become the Picasso of your industry, and everything else takes care of itself.
I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or maybe it's one you're already working on and you have experienced a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up. And maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. Here's what I want you to look at. There are winners, and there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy, a plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago, when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now. I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. It's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Before April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now, here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people, what changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done. And because they knew it had been done, there was a new belief about this barrier, about this goal that was unreachable. And those 20,000 people got in a race believing, knowing in their heart that someone had done it, that it's possible, that they could do it. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality.